Hello and welcome to Harbingerhyme. This is your favorite place where you can learn design theory from element to order. I am an architect and a lecturer at Department of Architecture at a Dhaka-based university. This is a practical foundational course for architects, designers, and visual thinkers, and students as well. Overview. We learn 6 lessons, one language of a design. Each lesson is built on last from the smallest mark to fully ordered composition. First, you will learn elements of design. That includes point, line, plane, and volume. These are the raw vocabulary every composition is built from. Second, you will learn principles of design. This includes balance, rhythm, proportion, emphasis, and unity. How elements start to behave together. Third, you will learn form and space. These are solid and void, positive and negative space, and how enclosure defines a place. Fourth, you will learn ordering systems. These are axis, symmetry, hierarchy, datum, grid, and transformation. The logic behind organized form. Fifth, you will learn color and texture. These includes hue, value, saturation, and material expression. These are sensory layers of design. Sixth, you will learn composition in practice. These are a capstone case study that puts every prior lessons to work in one composition. Lesson 1. Before we talk about beauty, balance, or style, we need to agree on a vocabulary. Everything you will ever draw or build is made of exactly 4 things: a point, a line, a plane, and a volume. In this lesson, we'll look at each one individually, then watch them build on each other in sequence. So now we are at lesson 1, elements of design. And we remember from this lesson, every drawing, every building, every composition, no matter how complex, it has to reduce into 4 primitives: point, line, plane, and volume. Let's start as small as possible. The point. The point has no dimension, no length, no width, no depth. It only tells you where. But don't underestimate it. A single point in an empty composition becomes the most powerful thing on the page because the eye is drawn to it instantly. Architecturally, think of a point as a column in a field or the center of a plaza. And notice the moment you place a second point, your mind automatically draws a line between them. That's our next element. So, from this lesson, we'll remember point, a position in space. A point marks a location. It has no dimension of its own, only position. A point has no length, width, or depth. It is pure position. Secondly, on its own, it is a center, a focus, the meeting of 2 lines. In a composition, a single point draws the eyes immediately. And fourthly, 2 points imply a line. A cluster of points implies a shape. Element 2, line, a point extended. Extend a point and you get a line. Line has length but still no width or depth of its own, but its direction changes everything about how it feels. A horizontal line lies down, it feels calm, grounded, like the horizon or the floor. A vertical line stands up, it feels active, structural, like a column. A diagonal line feels unstable and full of energy because it's neither resting nor standing, and a curve feels organic and human. As an architect, every wall, every edge, every railing you draw is a line making one of these statements, whether you intend it to or not. So from this lesson, we will remember line is a point extended. A line is a point set in motion. It has length but no width or depth. A straight line implies direction, speed, and stability. A vertical line reads as active and structural. Horizontal as calm and grounded. A diagonal line introduces tension, movement, and instability. A curved line feels organic, soft, and unpredictable. In this image, we can see horizontal, vertical, diagonal, and curved lines each carry different meaning. Element 3. Plane, a line extended. Move a line sideways and you sweep out a plane. Now we have length and width, and for the first time, area. A plane defines edges. It separates inside this shape from outside this shape. In architecture, this is where things get very real. A plane becomes a floor when it's horizontal beneath you, a wall when it's vertical beside you, and a ceiling when it's horizontal above you. Three planes, three completely different jobs, even though geometrically they are the same element. So from this lesson, we will remember plane is a line extended. A plane is a line moved perpendicular to its own direction. It has length and width and encloses area. A plane defines edges, the outer limits of a shape or surface. Its shape can be square, circle, or triangle. It sets the character of the space it defines. In architecture, planes become floors, walls, and ceilings. The base, vertical, and overhead planes. A plane's texture and orientation change how heavy or light it feels. In the image, we can see a bounded plane, length and width enclosing an area. Extend a plane through space and you finally get a volume, length, width, and depth. This is the only element you can actually walk into, and a volume can be read two ways, as a solid mass, like a block of stone, or as a hollow void, like a room. Every single building you have ever designed is underneath all the detail and arrangement of volumes. This is the moment where abstract design theory becomes architecture. So from this lesson, we will remember this is element 4, volume, a plane extended. A volume is a plane extended into the third dimension. It has length, width, one depth, and encloses space. Volume is the only element that can be occupied, walked into, and lived in. It can be read as solid mass, a block, or hollow space, a room. Every building is, at its core, an arrangement of volumes. Volume is where design theory becomes architecture. In this image, we can see a volume, the point extended three times over. So here's the whole chain in one image. Point, line, plane, volume. Each one simply the last element set into motion. Hold on to this. Whenever a design feels overly complicated, you can run this sequence backwards. Reduce the volume to its defining planes, the planes to their edges, the edges to their key points. That's how you find the bones of any composition, no matter how ornamented the surface is. So, from this lesson, we will remember this is synthesis of point, line, plane, and volume. Each element is the previous one set in motion. This progression is the single most useful mental model in design. A point extended becomes a line. A line extended becomes a plane. A plane extended becomes a volume. Reverse the sequence and you have a method for simplifying any complex form back to its essence. In this image, we can see the full progression side by side. Point, line, plane, and volume. Here's a quick recap before the exercise. Point is pure position. Line is a point in motion. Carrying direction. Plane is a line in motion. Enclosing area. Volume is a plane in motion, enclosing space. 4 words and you now have the entire vocabulary of visual design. So, lesson 1 recap was the 4 elements: point, position, no dimension; line, length, direction; plane, length, width that encloses area; and volume is length, width, and depth that encloses space. Mastering these fundamentals means mastering the language of design. Studio exercise for this lesson. Take a blank page and physically walk through the sequence we just covered. One point, extend to a line, swept to a plane, extruded to a volume. Don't overthink the direction, just be intentional about it. When you are done, sit with the final sketch and ask yourself, at what exact step did the stop being a diagram? And start feeling like an actual space. That instinct is the beginning of spatial thinking. So, I will recap one more time the studio exercise lesson 1. You have to draw a single point on a blank page. Then extend that point into a line. Choose a direction with intent. Sweep the line into a plane by moving it sideways. And fourth, extrude the plane into a volume by pushing it into depth. And then you will reflect that how did your perception of the page change at each step. At what point did it stop feeling like a diagram and start feeling like a space?